This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much!
On 97.7 FM, The City.
Blessings and good fortune, everybody. It's another Thursday. That means the Bitcoin Otter Show. That means hopefully we get to hang out for a little while, talk about craziness, because that's what our world is right now. It's craziness, ladies and gentlemen, madness and mayhem, and all the other adjectives you can throw in there. We're coming at you from KCYP The City, 97.7 out of McAllen. KCYP The City is where you can listen to us on terrestrial radio, but also we're coming at you on YouTube. We're coming at you on, let's see, we have two different radio apps. We have Sound, we have TuneIn Radio, and we have Radio Garden. Okay, these are two good apps. I've checked them out. My favorite personally is Radio Garden. All over the world, you can check into stuff. I'm sure TuneIn Radio will have the same ability. But we're also coming out from the McAllen Creative Incubator. They're on break today, so you won't hear any drums. You won't hear young kids screaming out Led Zeppelin or singing in the rain, which is okay, you know. So here we are. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, but I want to get into the important stuff first and foremost. Right? We want to start this off, this show off very well today. So I'm going to give you something that is very timely and seasonal for those of us that believe that there is a king, a real king, and not of this world. His kingdom, at least, is not of this world. He came to us, sure did, for us and all us. Yeah, he did. And in Isaiah, it speaks of him. For to us a child is born. To us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Amen and amen. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we won't be here next week, as it is the day we celebrate, but it is not the actual date of the birth of our Messiah. We know that. So don't be fooled by people who try to tell you that you're celebrating a pagan holiday or this or that or the other. Nonsense, phooey, hoopla. No, and no. Now, here's a little bit of an economic barometer for you. Bitcoin, $85,054. I don't know when it's going to go back up. I'm fairly certain it will. Just can't give you a timetable. I'll tell you what is popping, though. Silver. $65.61. It went up to 67, 68, something like that. They can't keep it down, ladies and gentlemen. The brakes are wearing out. They're not going to be able to stop this train. If you want to get on it, you still can. I don't know how much longer it's going to be available. Gold is at $4,344 an ounce. The average mortgage rate isn't really that good either. 30-year rate is 6.29. 15-year rate is 5.63. So it's still not at the point where you want to be before you buy something. But, hey, if you need to, you need to, right? And if you can, you can. I got some crypto news here. And I know a lot of us, we really do enjoy investing in crypto, whatever, non-rent money we can. And remember that I am not a financial advisor. But I can give you some news today out of Cointelegraph. It says, headline anyway, a Bitcoin institutional buys flip new supply for the first time in 6 weeks. Okay. I have to warn you, ladies and gentlemen, I have been sick for 4 days, and it is the case that I have a cough. So I'm going to try and control it to the best of my ability. We'll see how that works out. I've got us coming up here on the phone. I'll be on the Christopher Odd, and then on the iPad, I'll be on the Bitcoin Otter feed of Facebook. Marcos, good to see you. Glad you could come meet us today. Hope everything's going well with you. So I'm going to get into this one, and then we'll go on with our fun, because I'm having fun, guys. I really enjoy this, and I really enjoy the fact that you guys come on and talk about things that we don't always get to talk about, or in such ways that people, excuse me, want us to talk about it. But we're going to talk about it anyway. So this is what I get out of the Cointelegraph. The key points are this. Bitcoin's institutional demand is now 13% higher than the amount of newly mined Bitcoin on a rolling daily basis. What does that mean? It means that the Bitcoin mining algorithm is at one speed. It's going this way. And then the institutional demand for Bitcoin is higher than that. So that should drive, in the real world, it should drive prices up. But let me just keep going on. New data shows institution-fueled supply reduction returning for the first time since early November. So the institutions have had, institution meaning banking, and you have nation states that are buying Bitcoin, states within the U.S. that are buying Bitcoin, banking institutions, all kinds of different stuff, because everybody wants it, just like you and me. ETF outflows passed 600 million in just 2 days this week. Wow. So it is rather, how would you say, either confusing or there's no logic in the fact that Bitcoin prices are dropping. So there has to be something behind it. Or is it manipulated in some way so people like BlackRock can get it cheap? Possibly. But that means we can get it cheap too. So let's keep that in mind. They also say that this divergence between institutional outflows and the conviction of major players underscores that Bitcoin oscillates between immediate stress and long-term expectations of appreciation. Let me see if I can decipher this goggly, goobly, glabbly, whatever they're saying, from wherever they get this from, probably AI. Ladies and gentlemen, the people who are buying massive amounts of Bitcoin are buying it because they know it's going to go up. Okay? Long-term expectations of appreciation means they know that the price of Bitcoin is going to go through the roof one of these days. They know it, so they want in as quickly as they can. But so do we. Crypto News says this. Bitwise predicts ETF Palooza. As over 100 crypto-linked ETFs set to launch in the U.S. by 2026. Now, I don't think that's going to be before 2026 because we're really close to it. Perhaps the end of it. U.S. asset manager Bitwise has forecast a wave of new crypto-linked exchange-traded funds, ETFs, predicting that more than 100 such products could launch in the United States by 2026 as regulatory clarity accelerates and issuer barriers fall. So, regulatory clarity means that our government is no longer anti-crypto. Why? Because all of the previous presidents, not including Donald Trump, that have been in the crypto age have been owned by the banks. All the politicians have been owned by the banks. And the banking, the international criminal cartel that is known as the Federal Reserve System, they hate crypto because crypto makes you the bank. Crypto makes me the bank. They want to be the bank because they want to make us poor. They want to be rich. It's very simple. Very simple. When you boil it down. Extremely simple. You want to be the bank. I want to be the bank, but so do they. So they wanted to crush crypto, and they're not going to do it. It's out, the genie's out of the bottle, so to speak, just like the internet. That's one of the reasons why we're beating them. The internet, one of the reasons, right? That, and we have God on our side. Here's another one. 45% of young investors own crypto as housing dreams fade. Just to comment on that real quick. It's very apparent, very obvious to me as I drive around town here in the Rio Grande Valley, but also I'm sure where you're at. If there are any new builds where you're at, and we are very much blessed here in the RGV, we are growing. We've been growing for 20 plus years. We're continually growing. Now, the new builds have changed. The I guess you could call them the dynamics of that construct. The architecture has changed. And what I mean by that is we're not seeing subdivisions of single family homes anymore. We are seeing subdivisions of duplexes and fourplexes. Okay? Because the ability of the average American to get housing has been depressed, oppressed. You name the term you want to use, but it's not good. It's not good at all. However, if you are an illegal alien under the Biden regime, the auto pen presidency, then you would have gotten free rent. You'd have gotten help for a mortgage that the American people would have strapped on their back like they do everything else, right? And paid for you. If you were an illegal alien a few years back in the autopen Biden-Harris regime, Obama was really running. Everybody knows that. So you would have, as an illegal alien, gotten free housing, probably $2,400 probably a month on a debit card that would have been paid for by we the people here of America. And then you would have voted for Democrats, and you would have been able to put yourself ahead of Americans for the rest of your life. But that all went away when we the people voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. So this article says that 45% of investors own crypto as housing dreams fade. They had a survey, and the findings show that 45% of younger investors already own crypto, compared to just 18% of older generations. And that 3/4 believe their generation faces harder odds of building wealth through conventional means than previous cohorts did. So, yeah, they're waking up to reality in a rude way. Hopefully that will change. Hopefully that dynamic will change. We're going to have new tax laws. Hopefully no more income tax. All that great stuff that we've talked about here on the Bitcoin Otter Show before. This is not new to us. Let me see if we have anybody else coming in on the chat. Okay. Joe says nothing on that end on the restream, and I don't see anything on these. However, I'm just going to keep going. Coinbuzz Now. I just saw this tonight. Coinbuzz Now says Swift's new blockchain strategy fuels speculation about XRP's viability. Yeah. So XRP fans out there, I got a little bag. Not selling it. But there is I don't want to say a scare, but there's a concern that since Swift is creating its own new blockchain, the Swift system is the system that's currently being used by the criminals to transport money from one place to another. So the Federal Reserve, your bank, my bank, uses the Swift system. And we use it every time we use a debit card, credit card, right? It's the Swift system. Antiquated, slow, unwieldy, but I'm just describing not only the banks, but the type of people that own those banks. But XRP is much faster, much better, all this good stuff. And we were under the impression that the old world banks would use XRP. Maybe they will. Maybe it's a bridge in there somewhere. But here's the thing, and this is, I think, good news for XRP. We know, those of us that know, that the banks are going to die. The way, we grew up with banks since 1913. The banks that are basically have subjugated us, have taxed us, stolen from us, those banks are going to die. The new monetary system will rise one of these days. How exactly is it going to look? I'm not sure. I'm not read in on those things. I am not in the know, for better or for worse. But some of the things that this article from Coinbuzz Now state is this. It says partnership misinterpretations. Many are critical of how Ripple is the parent company of XRP. Many are critical of how Ripple's relationship with Thunes, which connects to Swift, is perceived. XRP's unique position is that Ripple is 13 years ahead of Swift. So whatever Swift is doing, they're 13 years behind of what Ripple has already, blazed ahead of. Ripple is king, asserts a participant, emphasizing that XRP still maintains a significant technological edge in liquidity management compared to Swift's new system. Now, that may be true and maybe not. I don't know. My expertise is certainly not deep enough to know. And then the market reactions are how users point out that Swift is merely catching up to the innovations of Ripple and that Ripple has established over the last decade. One comment emphasizes Swift's upgrades are just trying to modernize messaging, but it still takes days for money to move. That could be. And then another one here, CCN. U.S. just approved Ripple and other major firms into the banking system. Here's where Ripple XRP fits in. So Ripple, Circle, and 3 other crypto firms have received conditional approval to operate as national trust banks in the U.S. See, ladies and gentlemen, it's too late for them, but the old world banks are now forced to integrate with crypto. They've they're waving the white flag under the table because they don't want you to see that they're giving up. But they're telling the system that we're gonna abide by the rules of the new world, the new way of doing things. So they're gonna have to adapt or die, and they're gonna probably do both. They're gonna adapt a little bit, and they're still gonna die, because if we want freedom, we have to kill the Federal Reserve banks. The system is our enemy. Donald Trump knows this, and that's why he's going about and prosecuting his policies as he is. The move sparks a major regulatory milestone for crypto firms seeking deeper integration with the banking system. Now, I would suspect that if they go too far into the old world banking system, they might find themselves bankrupt when it goes, I was going to say a certain thing, but certain parts of our body point up when we die. While the approval does not directly affect XRP, Ripple's inclusion could strengthen its institutional footprint over time. I mean, what I'm getting at is this. There's a couple different ways you or me as an XRP fan can go. We can say, well, we are pretty much at the point where XRP is going to go one way or the other, or both. So we could say, oh, we're going old world banking system, or we're going new world banking system, which is like similar to what is going on with the Trump bank, right? So they're creating a bank that the corporations that Trump and his partners have been discussing are basically putting a new bank on the block, so to speak. But it's not brick and mortar. It's going to be a crypto bank. I don't know too much about it. I'll get with you as soon as I know a little more, and we can talk about that, and we can talk about their stablecoin USD1 and how that might just be the vehicle that takes us from the Federal Reserve note, the corrupt, useless, well, I mean, not useless, but worthless system of the Federal Reserve note, trash, garbage, and somehow integrate into the new viable, value-added, value-retentive system. That's what we want. We want, when, especially people like you and me, when we trade our time for money, which means we're a wage slave, but it does also mean that our life has a value to this system, if you want to call it that. Now, the Federal Reserve System doesn't care about your life. In fact, they would, if it behooves them and makes them money, they'll snuff it out. But the fact of the matter is, the money is designed to devalue over time your life and you. I mean, yes, we know that we are worth something. God knows that we are priceless, unable to be valued because he gave his son for us. But that aside, this system doesn't care one bit about you or me. So what they do is they create an instrument, a monetary instrument, that will devalue over time to the degree that it will be worthless at some point. And when it is, they're going to buy up everything and steal from you and me. However, excuse me. However, there are some good people still out there, and they are winning the battle against that evil system. And we want to go in the direction opposite of this evil system that'll take us to money that holds and it retains value, just like Bitcoin. It's a store of value. But there needs to be a monetary instrument, a dollar of sorts, right? So it needs to be something that holds its value, a deflationary instrument. And that's coming. I think it will probably be called the Treasury note, but who am I, right? Nobody calls me up in the middle of the night and says, hey, what should we name this new money? And that's probably a good thing. This is Brian Cates, okay? And we're going to get into some other stuff. So crypto is we're kind of moving away from crypto right now, and we're going to go into some other stuff, some craziness, right? And you've seen craziness this week. This is Brian Cates on X. He highlighted that DEI. Remember, DEI is diversity, equity, or equality, whatever they want to say, and inclusion. That's what they call it. But in reality, they mean that they want to put people who agree with them ahead of other people. They want to put, they meaning the people who direct these DEI policies, they want to do things with our culture that benefits them or their owners. Okay, because there are always owners behind cultural movements and social engineering and things like that. And the useful idiots that are proponents of these evil ideas like DEI, they have no idea. They have no idea that they are promoting a system of oppression. You won't ever be able to reason with them because they've been educated. I'm using quotes because in the modern world, an education means nothing more than an institutionalization. Doesn't matter how many degrees you have on the wall. All that does is tell us that your thought capacity has been decreased. Okay? Back in the day, they used a really good term for this. They called it mental retardation. Okay? But I digress. So this was breaking, right? From Brian Cates put this out on X. Providence police chief revealed. Now, Providence is in Rhode Island near Brown University. Okay, so we recently heard about a shooting there. So the Providence police chief reveals that 5 days after the Brown University mass shooting, with a killer on the loose, and they have not interviewed the student eyewitnesses for a description of the shooter. I'm going to say that again. Somebody shot up Brown University. And the Providence police chief, whose jurisdiction, his purview includes Brown University, they haven't interviewed anybody about what they saw, what they heard, what they witnessed right there on the ground. 5 days afterward. Why do you think that is? I'm not asking the media. I'm not asking those jackasses in a suit somewhere on Capitol Hill. I'm asking real people. I'm asking you. Why do you think that the law enforcement, the chief law enforcement officer of that area hasn't interviewed the eyewitnesses for 5 days? There could be a lot of explanations for this. There might be even a logical one. Hey, Otter, the FBI swooped in and they're taking full control and they won't let the locals talk to them. I don't know. Maybe. I doubt it, though, because, man, if I was a police chief, I would want to do what I could to solve these crimes. And I guess a little tidbit that I could reiterate, I don't know if I've mentioned this in a long time, but one of the most powerful or authoritative figures in the United States law enforcement community is the county sheriff. The county sheriff actually has the authority to tell the federal authorities to get out or to back off. I don't know if you knew that. A sheriff in a county, okay, can tell authoritatively and rightfully, legally, okay, tell the feds to back off. Now, if anybody has paid attention to county politics, you realize that it is probably just as corrupt as national politics. I understand that. I'm just telling you that that particular office of sheriff has much more authority than we are led to believe. So I give this Providence police chief no credit on this. And it makes me think of other types of corruption. This is the Maverick Approach on X. So I'm going to go to another one, and then we're going to tie this in. Hang on a little bit. This is going somewhere. The Maverick approach. Breaking. 2 mass shootings happened within 24 hours of each other. One at Bondi Beach in Australia, and the other at Brown University. The same date as Sandy Hook. False flag psyop completed. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you didn't know, all of this stuff is a preamble to war of one sort or another. What do I mean by that? You know what? Let me just read the next one up. This is the Prime Minister of Israel, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu himself. He says, I demand that Western governments do what is necessary to fight anti-Semitism and provide the required safety and security for Jewish communities worldwide, he demands. He demands. They would be well advised to heed our warnings. Are these false flags his warnings? Woo! Think, ladies and gentlemen. Think deeply. And don't use your American public educational ability to do so, because you'll be way behind. Use your brain, not the professor's. He says, I demand action from them now. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember, this is the guy that funds Hamas. Don't take it from me. Look it up. Look it up. Just like ISIS was USIS, U.S. three-letter agencies funding ISIS, the Mujahideen, Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, you name it, man. You want to know where Middle East terrorism came from? Just look in Washington, D.C. Look in Tel Aviv. Look in London. That's where they come from. That's where they come from, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely. I know you might not believe me, but do yourself a favor. Look at some photos of Iranians from the 1970s. Just, Google it, ChatGPT, Grok, whatever you want to do. Hey, show me some photos from the 1970s era in Iran. What are you going to see? You're going to see that you could have been looking at, what do they call it? Coney Island? Daytona Beach? South Padre Island? In the 70s. They were dressed like us. Okay? Remember, Iran is the new Persia. Persia is their ancient, I don't know how you would, their heritage. Persian geniuses. Their culture was extreme. Okay? The people that decimated the Middle East are the same people that are decimating Western civilization. Same people, same bloodlines. So this guy, Benjamin Netanyahu, demands that Western governments do what is necessary to fight anti-Semitism. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to add another wrinkle to this. Before the people who populate the relatively new nation state of Israel, before they went in, kicked all the people that were living there out, that place was called Palestinians, I guess. Had a different word, but the Western world called it Palestine as a whole. Now, the people of Palestine, there were Jewish people, there were Arabs, there were Islamic people, all that, all that stuff, right? All that demographic, that's where they come from, right? And what you will find is that the Arabs there and in other places, many other places, are what are called Semites. What do I mean by that? Well, biblically speaking, and the actual real historical figure was named Shem. Okay? Shem of the Bible, Shem of history is the same no matter what people want to do. to deny that. Don't believe me? You can check this out yourself. So the descendants of Shem are called Semites. So this Benjamin Netanyahu is claiming to be one of those. There are very, very well, thoroughly researched studies, dissertations, and so forth that basically point to the fact that he's not. Okay. I won't get into it here. I'll just tell you that there's a very articulate scholar named Shlomo Sand, a Jewish man, who came out with a very insightful and articulate book called The Invention of the Jewish People. And if you read it, you will find out that everyone at Tel Aviv University, of which he is a professor of history, can tell you, if they choose to, what I am telling you right now, that Benjamin Netanyahu is not a Semite, is true. Yeah. So here's where I'm going with this. The people in Gaza that are being bombed, droned, blown up, killed in many different ways, be they a woman, a child, a man, doesn't matter. They're being decimated. They, ladies and gentlemen, are Semites. Yes, they're descendants of Shem, Abraham, Isaac, and Ishmael. Okay? The 12 tribes of Jacob are descendants of Shem, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay? Same family, two different branches. Okay, it branched out below Abraham. Arabs, Ishmael. Jews, not really Jews. Israelites. Let's be specific. Israelites, Jacob. Okay? Cousins, if you will. But Semites. What you and I need to determine, because times are getting tough, is whether or not the inhabitants of Israel are Israel. What is Israel, Otter? What do you mean? Israel is the name given to Jacob after he became a follower of God. Okay? Israel are God's people. Okay, what are the people that make up the nation state, the modern nation state, not the biblical, the modern nation state of Israel? Because Mr. Shlomo Sand, a Jewish scholar, Jewish professor of history, says that there are three main tribes: Khazars, Samaritans, and Sephards, none of whom are Semites. You be the judge, you decide, you figure it out. I'm just pointing truth out. So we're still on. I don't think we've been censored yet, although we don't have many views. But I have many perspectives and I have many opinions, and I'm not afraid to share them with you. So before we go on, we're at about the halfway point. I want to remind you that you're watching the Bitcoin Otter Show. And if you're here in the local area of McAllen, you're listening to us on 97.7 KCYP The City. Or perhaps also on Facebook, YouTube, TuneIn Radio, or Radio Garden. We're all over the place. Thank you for watching, be it live or be it at your leisure, home or on the road. So what I'm getting at is that a ruler of a nation state that came about after World War II because American blood was spilled is warning those of us with American blood and others around the world, Western governments he terms, they're warning us, he's warning us, that if we don't provide the required safety and security for Jewish communities, we're going to get it. We don't know what it is, but we're going to get it. He's threatening us, okay? Because while he is massacring Semites in Gaza, people are criticizing him and being called anti-Semite. Do you see where I'm going with this, ladies and gentlemen? Can you see the madness, the lunacy of this modern culture that we're living in? This evil prick is threatening you as he decimates Semite communities. You may not be a fan of the people in Gaza. I don't care. I don't care if I am a fan. They're human beings. Okay? And the fact of the matter is, someone is funding Hamas. And guess who they found out is doing it? Satan Yahoo. Ladies and gentlemen, things go deep. Much deeper than the fake news will tell you. You can never, ever believe what they say. Always go back to the Bible. Always go back to the truth. Now, that's not always going to get us to the bottom of things in politics or controversy. I understand that very well. But if we blindly listen to, blindly adhere to all these narratives that are being deployed, not only on a daily basis, hour to hour, month, minute to minute, man. Think about it. Back to back, we had two what I consider false flags. What is a false flag? Okay. The term started with international naval operations. If you're sailing a ship, you had to have a flag of a nation. You needed a flag of a nation being flown on that ship. Excuse me. I'm going to beat this cough. But anyway, your flag had to represent the nation of which you had derived. Now, there are people that were tricky people, pirates, evil people, pirates, murderers, brigands, whatever you want to call them. They would put up a false flag to make the people from afar with the monolens thing and the crow's nest and all that good stuff. Oh, it's a British flag. It's a French flag. It's an Australian flag. It's whatever. Greek, Roman, whatever. So they would fly a false flag so that the people coming up to them would be caught unaware when they decided to, shoot the cannons at them and board them and steal all the stuff. That's a false flag. Well, in today's day and age, a false flag is an event that could be real, could be faked. Sometimes we have no idea. Other times it's pretty clear. Could be real, could be faked. But the authors, the planners, and the executioners of said act or event are not who the reporting, the media, the politicians say they are. Meaning they will foist the blame on one group of people or individual. Osama bin Laden, anybody? When that person either had nothing to do with it or wasn't the real author. Maybe tangential, but not instrumental. So World War I was started that way. World War II was started that way. Vietnam was started that way. Many other altercations were started in the same fashion. Okay? Remember when we were listening, if you guys are old enough to remember when the lie was, hey, Corinne, good to see you. The lie was that Saddam Hussein was throwing children out of cribs and nurseries and killing them and all that. You remember all that? It wasn't true. It wasn't true. There's so much about our world, our wars, our conflicts that is untrue. I want to propose something to you. And if you're wanting to reach out to me on Facebook, please do so. And I can give you the sauce, as it were. Everything we've been taught about World War II is a lie. And World War II and its interpretation that has been drilled into our psyche has constructed the viewpoints, the cultures, the very words of our society. And it was all a lie. I'm glad to get into detail with you offline. Let me know if you'd like to know. It's not because I'm smarter than you. It's because I've looked in places that you haven't. Okay, so going back to Satan Yahoo, these false flags in Australia, okay, it was planned before the event. So they call it the Hegelian dialectic, meaning they have something they want to do. In the case of Australia, they want to make stricter gun laws, because if you have a populace with guns, their takeover, the oppressive regime, will have a tougher time taking them over. So they want to get rid of gun laws. I mean, they want to not get rid of gun laws, but they want to oppress the inhabitants to the point where they can't defend themselves. Then they want to create hate speech regulation. And if this previous article is any indication, you can guess whom you cannot criticize. I can't remember who said it. If anybody knows, please throw it up. But there was a guy out there, much smarter than myself, that said, if you ever want to know who rules over you, just look to who you cannot criticize. If you criticize the correct people today, you will be labeled as an anti-Semite. And as that correct people decimates the Semites of Gaza and Palestine, you will be the anti-Semite. That's what they want to do in Australia. That's what Benjamin Satan Yahoo is threatening us with internationally. Why? Ooh, now we're asking the right questions, Otter. Why? Because they're losing their grip. They're losing their control. They're losing their power, ladies and gentlemen. This is why they hate Trump. This is why they've hated Putin since he took power. And I'm even going to bring President Xi from China into the fold. Oh, he's a commie. He's a commie, Otter. Yeah, well, do you know that he's fighting commies in China? No, you don't. Not because I'm smarter than you, because I look in places you don't look. So, anti-Semitism, and remember, we have to put that little trademark when we write it. It's a trademark. We have to put that trademark there. Is being shouted at everyone, and we are told it's bad. Okay? Of course, the Palestinian Semites have no protection whatsoever. No protection under that mantle of a trademarked slogan. Here's some things, and I just mentioned, right, that the false flag phenomena could be real or fake. Okay. Now, I think many of them are fake. I hope many of them are fake. Like there was one that I won't say the name because we're on Facebook. We're on Facebook. I won't say the name of it, but I will tell you that Alex Jones was extorted for like $300 million, right? Other people have been destroyed because they've said the truth about this false flag event. But I'm going to say something that will give you the idea without telling you the name of the false flag event. I am telling you that I believe all those children were alive. We were told the worst. We were told that a shooter killed them all. But ladies and gentlemen, I believe and I hope to God it was a false flag. Because I don't believe any of them perished there. I believe it was all an event staged, an exercise, if you will, that they turned into a live event to get you and me to believe something that wasn't true. And again, the ultimate object was a gun grab. Was a gun grab because they want to get guns out of your hands. They want to get banking out of your hands. They want to get power out of your hands. And they want to chop your hands off if it suits them. Right? As Satan Yahoo would threaten. Consequences if you don't agree with them and let them oppress you. So this guy, you may have seen him. He posted a photo with this, this red substance all over his head and his face. He's hurting, right? And he's complaining about what happened there at Bondi Beach in Australia. claiming that he had been wounded. And he said that, much the same thing happened to him on October 7th. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not good with numbers. But what do you think the odds are of somebody being in Israel on October 7th when the funded Hamas people came in and whatever they had, the hang gliders, and they killed and they raped and they pillaged and they stole and all that for hours before there was any response from Israel? What do you think the odds are that that person was there and that person was at Bondi Beach in Australia? I mean, I don't have a tape measure, but that's pretty far. Ladies and gentlemen, he is what is called a crisis actor. Okay? The best known crisis actor that you would know is a guy named Hogg. Not Boss Hogg. He was lovable and cuddly, right? But this guy, and you know who I'm talking about, was a crisis actor. See, these people are paid to make you and me think untrue events are true, that fake events are real. But there are enough of us out there now that can pick those things apart, and we can tell you what it is that makes them fake. We can tell you what it is to look for. Not because I'm smarter than you. It's because I have looked in places you have not looked. Perhaps you're an educated person. I am not. My shadow never darkened the door of any institution of higher learning, unless there was a kegger. I went to those. But what I'm trying to say is these events that they're throwing at us, they're lobbing at us, 2 a day, 1 a day, they're designed to traumatize us. Let's not let it happen. Hold your judgment. Was it real? Was it fake? Was this person really there? Was that person an actor? You be the judge. You are the arbiter of truth in your mind. Don't let the news do it. Don't let them stunt your ability in a school somewhere to apply, logic, to apply critical thinking skills, right? The Socratic method of questioning everything. These are things that were taught downward generations and generations that were cut off in the American public system. And for good reason. If you are an oppressive regime, you don't want real education in your subjects. Let them eat cake. Let them watch news. Yeah. Let them read the newspaper. Let them watch sitcoms. They'll never know the truth. So don't get yourself caught up in that, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I may not be older than you, certainly not wiser or more intelligent than you. It's just that I have looked in places you probably have not. And I have seen things that are not pretty, but they ring so much truer than the things that we are lied to about on the television every day, on the radio every day, in newspapers or magazines every day. I sound passionate about this because I am. I hate lies. And here's a lie I just want to throw out there for you. This crap of that Israel First ass clown, Mr. Levin, okay? He said one day that Donald Trump was the first Jewish president. And on camera, Donald Trump says it's true. And now we have very, very, I'm going to use a sensitive term here, low-grade thinkers promulgating the idea that Donald Trump is Jewish. Now, you can be Jewish if you want. You can do whatever you want to do. You do you. I have no criticism of that. You follow whatever religion you want to follow. Whatever kind of faith you want to have, you have it and you hold it tight. But the fact of the matter is, Donald Trump, when he said it's true, was referencing the statement made by Levin. He was not saying that he wore that small hat everywhere. He was not saying that. He merely said that what Levin said was true, that Levin said it. Not that it was true, not that the effect of his statement made it true. Only that this guy said it. It was true that he said it. And that's all that was true. There was no basis in his statement for fact. It was just a statement. Just want to clear that up real quick. We're getting towards the end. I don't see any comments. Joe, you see anything up there? Yeah, I would imagine we're being throttled on this one. I'm going deep here. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. EU, this is on out of Zero Hedge. EU will look weak if it doesn't confiscate Russian funds, Zelensky tells Crunch Summit. That dirty rotten hag, Ursula von der Leyen, whatever her name is, the installed individual, definitely not elected. No one elects people like that. Her and her cabal, and she's an asset, ladies and gentlemen, she's not in charge of anything, are on the precipice of doing what they meant to do the whole time when they started the war through their proxy state of Ukraine against Russia. Again, they hate Vlad Putin. Think what you will about Vlad. I mean, I call him Vlad, never had a beer with him or a vodka for that matter. But I'll tell you what, the guy is a patriot. He loves his country and he won't sell it out. And they hate it. They look at what they did to Europe. The usual suspects is who I'm talking about. The Illuminati, the deep state, the international criminal cartel, the Khazarian mafia, whatever you want to call them. Right? They hate national sovereignty. This goes back to biblical times, ladies and gentlemen. Who was the original one world government guy? Do you remember? Let me give the setting for this. The Tower of Babel. Okay? 8 people got on the ark. 8 people get off. God says, hey, spread out. Rule the world. It's yours. Be good stewards of it. Take care of it. Protect it. Next chapter, we see this guy named Nimrod. Everybody's in his kingdom. He says, hey, let's build a tower, man. Let's just put our minds to this and we're going to get this going. I personally think it was much more than mud and bricks and all that. And then we know from the Bible that God looks down and he says, hey, they're going to do whatever it is they want to do down there and I don't like it. So I'm going to mess them up. So he changes everybody's language. Yeah, maybe 5, 6, 10, a tribe perhaps, speaks the same language. Oh, man, I could talk to this guy. Maybe it's me and Joe. Man, Joe, we can still communicate. But all these other people over here, man, we don't understand each other. So we're going to kind of move away. That was God's purpose in the beginning. Move away. Move away. Why? Because if there's one central power, evil has no resistance. You getting it? I'm not smarter than you. I just look in places you may have not looked. So nowadays, these globalists, okay, you've got your Council on Foreign Relations, you've got your Trilateral Commission, you've got all the different ones, right? The Bilderberg Group, they meet in Davos or wherever the hell they meet, right? These people don't want to share power, okay? They get the same power from where Nimrod got it. And you know where I'm going with this. This is going to come out, ladies and gentlemen. You have the choice to know. Because you could just go right back, take the blue pill, watch the news. And they'll tell you, Trump, hate Trump, do this, whatever. Or you could say, hey, man, all these conspiracy theories like the Otter, these guys are talking about all this stuff. Let me dig in. If you get to that point, please, let me give you one word of advice I'm in my 50s, right? So I'm not an old man, but check out the Bible first. Be your own judge of it. Don't let anyone influence your interpretation of it. Check it out. Dig in. Because I'll tell you what's happening today, a clear line can be drawn to the Bible. From events, personalities, nations, monetary systems. Those bankers that Jesus used the cord as a whip, overturned the tables. Who do you think's running the Federal Reserve? You got it. The same people. The same people. Just one example. One example. So as we'll come up to the end of the show, there's still more stuff, but if you want some sauce on all this stuff, if you want to learn a little bit more about it, again, I'm not a scholar. I'm no academic wonder by any stretch, but I can point you to where I get my information, and you be the judge. See, that's people who do podcasts, and we're slandered, I guess you could say, a lot. No, we're not know-it-alls. But the fact of the matter is, we're not authoritarians. If I'm doing my job right, I'm going to bring information to you. You decide whether it's true or not. You decide whether you can somehow incorporate it into your worldview. That's your job. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm not telling you how to live your life. You be you. I'll be me. But let's get along, which is the opposite of what the oppressive peoples of NATO, of all these crazy organizations want. They want division. They want you to think that because I'm a different color, because I make less or more money than you, because I speak different than you, then we ought to be separated somehow. One of us should be, elevated and another should be abased. That's a bunch of bunk. We're humans. One race. Doesn't matter our color. Doesn't matter our language. Doesn't matter our belief. We're still humans. For better or for worse. We are human beings. Why don't we get along? It's just what I'm saying. So as we go out today, be blessed. We're, again, not going to be here next Thursday because we're going to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. Again, I'm going to reiterate, if you didn't hear it first, no, Jesus Christ was not born on December 25th. That's a fact. But it's also a fact that you don't have to take any degrading speech from somebody telling you that you're worshiping a pagan institution. Yes, some of the things are pagan. I get the Christmas tree and all that kind of stuff. I understand. But we have the intent. We have the truth in our hearts. Intent matters. So you and your family, be blessed. Please, if you need anything that you think I can help you with, information, if you want to, hey, Otter, where are you getting this stuff, man? You want to know about XRP? You want to know about Bitcoin? I'll do my best to point you in the direction where you can find the best and the most information. That's what I'm here for. That's why I do this. That's it. It just makes me feel useful. Thank you. Have a great Christmas. Merry Christmas. Have a great new year. And God bless you. God bless your families. And God bless America. Otter's out. Thank you.